Hey y'all, it's Josiah. So, I want to make a video and talk about human rights in relation to trans rights, and I'm going to apologize off the bat. I got some notes, so when I'm looking down, that's what I'm looking at. I just want to make sure I don't miss anything. In the news lately, there's been a lot of talk about the Human Rights Commission and trans rights. And on November 20th, Trans Day of Remembrance, we're coming up on 2 years since Nova Scotia amended the Human Rights Act to protect gender identity and gender expression. So, what does that actually mean? Because, unfortunately, it doesn't mean that the next day everyone woke up and stopped discriminating against the trans community and people based on gender identity and gender expression. What that piece of legislature does is ensure that the basic human rights are acknowledged and protected for trans people and gender variant people throughout Nova Scotia. What it does not do, however, is protect us from ignorance and stupidity. Sometimes people say and do stupid things. It happens to good people. If stupid happens in key areas, which I'll get to in a minute, the Human Rights Commission can certainly help to fix those situations. At work, you need to be treated with respect like every other employee there, regardless of whether or not you're out or stealth. From job application to job advancement and pay, it shouldn't matter. You can't be denied housing or evicted because of your transition, socially, medically, or both. If you're denied any sort of publicly funded, publicly available service, or denied service in a restaurant, or public establishment, denied the opportunity to volunteer for a position you're otherwise qualified for, refused publication, broadcast, or advertising opportunities, or membership into a professional business or trade, association, organization, or union. Because of your gender identity or expression, those are all things within the realm of opportunity for the Human Rights Commission to resolve. A complaint through the Human Rights Commission is a long, forever-taking process. I filed a human rights complaint in 2010. It was after my medically necessary hysterectomy was not funded by the Provincial Health Insurance, MSI. So that's still not resolved today, 4 years later. And I've got a lawyer's help, so I can't even imagine doing that alone without the help of a lawyer. Even though that discrimination happened to me, the resolution that will come out of this, whenever that may be, will affect positive change for the whole community, within Nova Scotia at least. And certainly in the last 4 years that I've been working on this particular case with the Human Rights Commission, I've seen their knowledge about trans issues and trans rights grow in that time. So they do have some understanding to work from and to build on. Some problems are easier to solve than going through all that trouble, and even though they might not seem that way, there are alternate options. Most people work for somebody. So if you encounter some sort of ignorance and discrimination, contact the person they work for. Call or speak to their supervisor. If they don't give you a satisfactory response, and if they don't take action, contact that person's boss or employer. Speak to that person. It might be appropriate to set your anger and hurt aside temporarily, just long enough to reach out on that person's behalf or company's behalf and get some resources. So when you do speak to someone in authority, you can say, here's something that will help you not be in this situation again. Ignorance is something we can usually fix with education. I reached out to Nova Scotia Rainbow Action Project after I had my situation with the hospital in Halifax because I needed a direction. I needed to know what to do. It can save a lot of time and frustration if you're dealing with someone who just needs to be enlightened on the topic. You could reach out to Nova Scotia Rainbow Action Project as well as Nova Scotia Trans Justice for support and resources as well. So Trans Justice, the email address is always down below in the description box in all my videos, unless I forget. And I mean, you can always find us on Facebook as well. Remember, just because the Human Rights Commission isn't involved in a particular situation does not mean that you're helpless in any sort of way. The trans community really needs to own our identities and really empower ourselves at this point to step up and say we're worthy enough that you can no longer be ignorant. There's no longer an excuse. On a side note, really quick, regarding the Vital Statistics Act and the legislation surrounding sex designations, gender markers, whatever you want to call them, a promise from a politician or a political party is just that. It's a promise. Actions are what count, and action is all that matters. The political system is a slow beast. You can't hold your breath waiting for these promises to magically appear. As a community of human beings, we cannot let this issue go until the day that it actually happens and changes. And whether or not they change the legislation so there's no longer a surgery requirement, or whether or not they change the legislation so there's no longer a sex designation requirement on government ID, I am not sure where the debate will fall on that. I know personally I don't feel that it's required. Doctors use our genitals to identify us for one time in our lives for within the first 5 minutes. There's never been a time where I've had to present my ID and drop my pants. So, I mean, it isn't even when it corresponds to the way someone identifies, it still isn't relevant on that piece of identification. That's where I land on that. I don't think that it's going to happen in 2014. Whether or not it happens in the spring, I guess, is anyone's guess. So we can always hope for the best. Anyways, I'd like to thank you for watching, as always. And if you like this video, press like underneath. Any questions or comments, feel free to leave a comment, shoot me a message, reach out to Trans Justice on Facebook, subscribe to see more videos like this one, and I will see you soon.